Over my years in the survey industry, I've been asked a million questions about surveying. Finally, I thought it was a good idea to take the initiative, along with all of the LN team, to build something out and give somebody some resources. We want to be able to tell you what we do, how we do it, why we do it, where we do it. We want to be able to give knowledge to everybody that's seen surveyors, involved in surveying, or use surveyors. We want to educate our industry on what we do and how we do it. We feel that helping people understand what we do will overall help our industry and help us do our job better. So I'm asking you, when we launch our campaign, engage, ask questions, get involved, and we'll try to evolve this campaign as we go. I'm Lance Norman. Today we're talking survey. So starting a business, you get, again, as we talked about all the time, you get 100 questions of why did you start your business, how did you start your business, when did you start your business? So I wanted to tell you my story, tell you the Lance Norman story and the LN story. I started LN in 2007, just as a contractor basis, doing things on the side. I had worked for a survey business and was working for a mining business, and seen an opportunity. 2007, as everybody can remember, if you were in the industry in 2007 in Fort McMurray, you'd know how crazy busy it was. So there was a lot of opportunities to be had, and I took advantage of them. And so I was working a full-time job and started doing some jobs on the side. Typically at the beginning, I started doing CAD works and takeoff volumes and estimating quantity takeoffs for mining and construction businesses. And I did that pretty regularly. And I think at the time I was able to get 30 to 40 hours a week outside of work, just doing contracting of that type of work. Slowly get your name out there, got known a little bit more. Being in the survey industry, there's been a couple people that went off on their own, and they came to me and said, hey, we know you're doing this on the side, and we'd like you to help us out. We don't have the opportunity right now to have our own internal CAD group, so would you be interested in contracting to us? At the time I was working for a mining construction group, and they were okay with it, as long as I did it on the side outside of their time. So I took advantage of it. So I did that for, I think it was about a year and a half, 2 years. Got a lot of work with it. I think at that time I was doing, I think 1 year I managed to do $400,000 or $500,000, just contracting work, myself and one more person for CAD work. So in 2008, as we all know, the bottom fell out of the market. I think oil went down at that time to $30 a barrel, $40 a barrel mark. Might even drop down to in the 20s somewhere at one point. And everything got pretty slow. I still managed to stay half-ass busy with my own contracting. But at that time, I actually took the whole plunge into just doing my own. I wasn't actually working for that construction mining company anymore. I took a job selling survey equipment. Worst time to sell survey equipment was in the middle of a recession, so didn't really get too far in that. I stayed, and I ended up leaving and going back to my roots with Fort McMurray and a construction company again, mining business. And I think I ended up sticking around there for, I think probably 2009-ish. I think we were pretty much out of the recession, 2010, 2011. Still a little bit, but I think it pretty much recovered, if my memory serves me well. That business I was with, the mining and construction business, I actually didn't leave there because I wanted to leave there. They had actually gone into a bankruptcy protection at the time. So obviously I didn't want to stick around, didn't know the case for it, so I made a plunge and went to another construction business. The whole time through, I was always doing my own side business with helping out other survey businesses at this time, helping them do their CAD work, earthworks, calcs, volume calcs, anything and everything, managing their data and taking care of all that aspect of it. But I went on with another construction company, and it was a lot smaller, and I think that's what I wanted. And I think that's a very important thing that I did, is I took a step back. I got paid a little less, but I want to learn a little bit more. So I actually started up their little survey department there, and it was just me, and I did the data, and I did the surveying, and I still did my own stuff, which he was aware with and happy for. And I stayed there for a little while and learned as much, and stuff slowed down with him eventually, and I popped over to a survey business. I wanted to try that out, and I worked for them for about, I think it was about 6 months. The whole time doing my own thing again, still always having my side gig on the go. And I think that's what really pushed me to do my own business, and to go full-fledged into it, is that you noticed how every business was doing business, and I didn't agree with how they were doing business and thought I could do business better. I brought on a lot of clients. I made a lot of connections over the way. I'm pretty true to my word, and you manage to gain traction with people, and people gain trust in you. And if you do good work, they'll follow you wherever you go. So I used to always bring my clients where I went, and I never felt that anybody did a good job for my client. So 2011, I knew I had to make a decision. I was with a construction company that I liked them. I liked the owner of it, was amazing. I learned a lot from him. He was probably one of my mentors. And I went to him and I said, look, you know about everything I'm doing on the side? He said, yep, all good with me. And I said, well, I want to own my own business. And right now, I don't think there's a market for what I'm doing right now with my little niche, that they all want to do it internally. So I need to figure out what I want to do. And I had a good chat with him, and he was the guy that pushed me to do it. And he said, look, if you want to do your own business, I think you'd do good at it, and I would be your first client, so do it. So I bought my first set of equipment with a vehicle. I think when you add that up, you're in for about $150,000. So I was scared shitless at that time, but I did have a good client that was going to give me my first project and get me going, which made you feel a little better. But it was something I had to do. When I was doing the CAD work on the side, all those businesses, survey businesses, were starting to hire on their own CAD people. I was too expensive. So they kind of forced me out of that market and forced me to be a competitor with them. And I don't think that worked out good for any of them. I think that any of the ones was working for, I think we're a lot farther ahead than they are now. But I guess they were their own worst enemies on that one. But I thank them for giving me the initiative to get out and do it. I remember we're at one project, and the engineering group that worked there, they wanted us to do some more work. So that was my project number. That was my client number 2. So I worked for them, was able just to still satisfy all my clients at that time, the 2 that I had, with one guy and myself. I think it was that winter of 2011, got a call for a project up at St. Croix, Aurora, with a reclamation contractor. And I think that was my first big job. And I was pretty excited about that one. I got to go meet a guy that I heard of in the industry, and I actually had worked with a couple of other places I've worked before. And I actually knew him as a hard ass. And he used to run through surveyors like crazy, kicking them off site. And if they didn't work hard, they're gone. So I went up and met him. Wanted to have a meeting, so I met him and his partner, the project manager, and he was construction manager. And they asked me the questions, asked what I could do, what I could handle, so on and so forth. And he's like, so I had my meeting with him, and then they said, okay, well, we'll get back to you here in another week. We got a couple more contractors that we're looking at, and give us a week or so, and we'll touch base with you. So I remember I was driving, this was in Fort McMurray, I was driving from Gregoire back up to Timberley where I live, and I get the call, and it was the construction manager and the project manager on the phone, and they said, hey, we're not going to meet with any of the contractors, we're going to give you the job. You start in 3 days. So that's where I started. So that was 2 more crews that I needed. So I had to go and invest another $200,000 to $300,000 and find 2 more surveyors. So managed to do that, get the eyes, and started to work a couple days later. And that's where it all kicked off. It was busy in Fort McMurray at the time, a lot of opportunities. I think 2011, by the end of the year, I think LN managed to do about $400,000. Going into 2012, we started to get some site work. A lot of construction businesses up there. I think in 2012, we were able to, I think we went up to $600,000. And I think it was a lot for me as a startup business. 2013, I brought on a bunch of new staff and I opened up an office in Edmonton. And I think, I brought on a few partners, but I brought on one significant partner that would take care of all the legal work and have his own division that was his, and he would also manage the LN branch down in Edmonton. And then 2013, that year, I think we hit $12 million. So you see that growth from 2011 of doing $300,000 to $400,000 to 2013 to doing $12 million. So it was a huge growth, and within that time, you got a lot of stress and a lot of close calls. So I always say that when people talk about businesses, say, you got to work hard, you can't stop, got to be persistent, and the truth about it is there's a shit ton of luck in it as well. I like to think that. Anybody else you talk to will tell you, no, it's your hard work, but I think there's some luck there. When you can go from a year in 2012 and then a year like 2013 where you do $12 million, yeah, you got to have a little luck. You have to pay payroll, and then you don't know if you're going to meet payroll, and you're waiting for the money to come in, and then you go down and you check the mailbox every day, and payroll's out the next day, and 3 hours before it goes out, you get a $300,000 check and everything's good. So that's happened a couple times. So that huge jump when everybody sees, those big leaps in revenue, it comes with a lot of pain in the butt too. And I think generally 3 to 5 years is how long it takes to get set up. I'd say 5 years before you actually, as an owner, start seeing some rewards for all the effort you put in. 2014 was another great year for LN. Kept on expanding. We actually purchased a business in Edmonton at that time, Spartan Surveys. They had been around since in the 1970s, and they were more a legal survey business that did residential and commercial little projects, and their revenue was about $500,000 or $600,000 a year. But we found there was a good little niche for us. I was always under the impression to do more. We were, I started as a mining construction surveying guy. Jeff, my partner, he's the legal type of guy, but he was more pipeline oil field. So then you get into a business that's generally boundary stakeouts, real property reports, house stakeouts, subdivisions. But I seen that as a big niche. This business did about $300,000 to $400,000 a year in just real property alone. We are that business, and that's my plan, and that's my vision, is to be that business that will do a $10 million job or a $300 job. We want the scalability to do small and large projects. You got to remember, when the big project's not there, the little guy might be. So you can't forget about the little guy, and that's an important part that I believe a lot of businesses don't focus on, and it's something that we're always focus on and we're always make sure that we're involved in. 2015, I think we actually bought out a business in Lacombe, and I think it was within 6 months we made a deal, and Ellen took over New West Geomatics. And again, it was another same type of niche that I bought with Spartan. It was that municipal survey, and that was that boundary surveys, real property reports, subdivisions. 2016 was a pretty, like I said earlier, a pretty humbling, lonely experience, I guess you could say. I think that's for a lot of people. You had a lot of uncertainty. You as an owner have to be the strong guy and hold the business together and say the right things, say that you see light at the end of the tunnel when you don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. Tell them that things look like they're getting better. We have some options over here. We're seeing some things over here. You don't see anything anywhere. That's a pretty gross feeling. I think that's pretty much what all 2016 felt like. I think that nobody in the industry I felt positive at all. And at LN, we bunkered down and cut back hours. And like I said, we laid off some people we didn't want to lay off, but we had to do it. We had no choice. We had to get a little bit creative. People had to take on more responsibilities and multitask a little bit better. But coming out of 2016 and coming into 2017, we probably mid-year, you started seeing a little bit of light. It started to turn around. You started to get a little bit of the project works come back online, a little bit more of the bigger projects, bigger dollar projects. You've seen some light at the end of the tunnel. You've seen some opportunities. I think during that 2016, 2017 timeline, a lot of businesses want to change and to look at other options and other businesses out there to reduce costs. So we managed to capitalize on a lot of major project changes. In Fort McMurray, two big clients that we weren't with, the oil companies direct, we managed to snag up for low prices, of course, but that was the time it was. And we just looked at it as, look, this will keep us strong, this will keep us healthy. So we snagged on them, and we managed, I think by the end of 2017, we managed to start rocking and rolling a little bit everywhere. And I think that a lot of other businesses weren't. We finished off strong, got in a lot of projects. We were more profitable, I think, coming out of 2017. We could streamline things. We were organized. I think we created a real strong business during that recession. And in 2017, we were able to start capitalizing on it. And what we were hearing from our clients were, we can see it. Your guys are doing a good job. You got your systems uncomparable with the other services they had somewhere else. We were able to have a tight-knit group that worked together, that knows how to work together. We know what the client wants. Coming into 2018 this year, and we have felt a huge, huge turnaround. I think 2018 is going to be our best year we've ever had. I think profitability-wise, we're looking strong. Revenue-wise, I think we're going to beat the most we've ever done this year. We've got in places that we haven't gone in before. We added new locations. We got a small satellite construction office in Calgary. We made a partnership with a group in Vancouver. We got a partnership with First Nations in Fort McMurray and south of Fort McMurray. We're just busy. I've been busy. We've all been busy. Business development, talking to people, getting creative, making partnerships, making things work, talking to our clients a little bit more what helps them. Like I said, you're getting more interesting. You're thinking outside of the box, trying to get work. Our rates are improving. We're starting to get to that point where quality matters again, and we have the quality, so we're able to give a little better rates. And I think by the end of 2018, I think that you're going to see LN, I think we'll be around that $15 million marker for the end of the year. We're able to do the same work that we were doing in 2016 and 17, where we were slow. We're able to still manage it with the people we got. We brought on in 2018 a lot more strong, a lot more people that are strong in the industry. We've been really poaching to get the best of the best. We want the best surveyors. We want the best CAD techs, the best CAD technologists. And that's my new focus, is I want the best of the best. I want the best people. 2019, our focus for this year is, the coming year is to continue our growth. I think we have no problems sustaining 15 million, making 20 million. I think we have the opportunity and the strength and the backing to double in size if that's what we need. We're busy in all of our locations. We added locations in 2018 that we're going to really focus on in 2019. We're going to push out of Alberta a lot harder than we have in the past. And we're going to push in Alberta as harder than we have in the past. we're set up to really make a good fight this coming year. We're getting in places that we weren't able to get in before. We got some mega solid projects up north that are, keeping that stability, and you got the longevity. And we're bidding on projects like I'd say so far in the last 3 weeks, we're in October now. In the last 3 weeks, I've been bidding on 5 to 6 projects, and fairly big projects a day. So that's how I look at 2019 to say, I think LN's going to do pretty good. We get a package come in from 3 contractors for the same job. Well, you got a pretty good option or a pretty good opportunity of getting a snag at that. So I think persistence. We were persistent during the downturn. We're persistent still, and we're not going to change. I'm getting more creative, and we're getting more creative. Building out a business development group. Offering those options with Earthworks Business to embed surveyors or manage their survey department. We're getting creative, using drones, using 3D scanning for projects. That's getting noticed. We're getting noticed. Our plan, my vision, my plan in 2019 is to push the LN name. I want to be, when you think surveying, I want you to automatically think LN. Coming up in here in 2019, I think is going to be a huge year for LN, and I want to tell you that I appreciate the clients that have followed me through this business journey. I want to thank you for keeping on being loyal to me. I want to thank my employees that have faith and trust in me. I know here at LN we're feeling a lot more optimistic. We've had a good year. We're looking forward to 2019 and what it has to bring to us. And our goal, and my goal in a marketing standpoint in 2019, is to get everybody in Alberta right now and BC thinking about, if you need survey, automatically think LN. 2019 is in front of us. It's looking positive, and LN is going to jump in head first into what we believe is going to be our biggest year to date. I'm Lance Norman, and that's part of my story.